Hello, English learners and practitioners. Welcome to another episode of the podcast Your English Always Better. I'm Charlie. In today's podcast, you'll learn English through a dialogue between Liz and Alex, who are planning a trip to Germany. So, in addition to practicing your English, you'll also get to know a bit about the tourist spots in this country. Pretty cool, right? At the end, we'll present words used in the dialogue and their meanings to help you expand your vocabulary. Let's begin.
Alex, I'm so excited for us to plan our trip to Germany. Have you thought about which cities we'd like to visit? I've heard amazing things about Berlin, Munich, and Frankfurt. What do you think about starting with Berlin? The capital has so much history and culture.
Great idea, Liz. Berlin is really a must-see. We can start there and then head south. How about spending about 4 days in Berlin? That way we'll have time to visit the Brandenburg Gate, the Berlin Wall, and the Reichstag. I've also heard great things about the museums on Museum Island.
Perfect. 4 days in Berlin sounds ideal. We can't forget to visit the East Side Gallery, that part of the Berlin Wall with incredible murals. And what do you think about taking a guided tour to learn more about the city's history, especially about World War II and the division between East and West Germany?
Excellent suggestion. A guided tour will help us better understand the historical context. I'd also like to visit the Holocaust Memorial. It's an important place for reflection. Oh, and I heard that the Kreuzberg neighborhood is great for experiencing Berlin's alternative cultural scene. We could set aside an evening to explore the bars and restaurants in the area.
I love the idea of Kreuzberg. Speaking of food, we need to try some German specialties. How about looking for a good restaurant to try currywurst, schnitzel, and, of course, the famous German sausages? And we can't forget about the beer. Berlin has some historic breweries that would be cool to visit.
Absolutely. German cuisine is a must. We could go to Hofbrau Berlin, which is a branch of the famous Munich brewery. As for accommodation in Berlin, what do you think about staying in the Mitte district? It's very central and would make it easier to get around. I saw some hotels with good reviews there, like the Park Inn by Radisson and the NH Collection.
Mitte sounds like a great choice. Central and with easy access to public transportation. Speaking of which, I think we should buy the Berlin Welcome Card. It offers unlimited transportation and discounts on various attractions. About transportation between cities, I've been researching and it seems that the train is the best option. What do you think about going from Berlin to Munich by train?
I agree about the Berlin Welcome Card. It'll make our lives much easier. And yes, the train is an excellent option for traveling between cities. It's comfortable, fast, and we can enjoy the scenery too. Let's book Deutsche Bahn in advance to get better prices. So, after Berlin, we head to Munich? I heard it's a beautiful city, with a very different atmosphere from Berlin.
Yes, Munich sounds incredible. It's known as the capital of Bavaria, and they say it has a more traditional charm. Can we stay there for about 3 days? I really want to visit Marienplatz, the heart of the old city, and see the famous Glockenspiel clock. I'd also like to visit the Englischer Garten, which is one of the largest urban parks in the world.
3 days in Munich sounds perfect. We can't miss visiting the Hofbrauhaus, the city's most famous brewery. And how about including a day to see Neuschwanstein Castle? It's about 2 hours from Munich, and it's that fairy tale castle that inspired Disney's. It would be an incredible trip.
Wow, Neuschwanstein Castle is a dream. Let's definitely include it. We can do a day trip from Munich. As for accommodation in Munich, how about staying near Marienplatz? It would make our tours of the historic center easier. I saw good options like Hotel Torbrau and Lewis Hotel. What do you think?
Great hotel suggestions. Staying near Marienplatz will give us easy access to many attractions. I just remembered that Munich is famous for Oktoberfest. Unfortunately, we won't be there during that time, but we can visit the Viktualienmarkt, which is an open-air market with lots of typical food and drink options. I've also heard good things about the Deutsches Museum, which is the largest science and technology museum in the world.
The Viktualienmarkt sounds great for trying more local cuisine. And the Deutsches Museum must be fascinating. Oh, and we can't forget to visit the Munich Pinakothek, which has an impressive collection of European art. After Munich, where should we go? Frankfurt or maybe a smaller, more picturesque town?
How about going to Heidelberg after Munich? It's a charming university town, with a ruined castle on top of a hill and a well-preserved historic center. We could spend 2 days there before heading to Frankfurt. What do you think? Heidelberg is on the way between Munich and Frankfurt, so it would make sense in our itinerary.
I love the idea of including Heidelberg. It seems to be a charming and less touristy city. We can stroll along the Hauptstrasse, which is the main street in the historic center, visit Heidelberg Castle, and take a boat trip on the Neckar River. I've also heard that the view from the Philosophenweg, Philosopher's Path, is spectacular. 2 days seem perfect for exploring the city.
Exactly. Heidelberg will give us a taste of more traditional and romantic Germany. For accommodation, how about looking for a boutique hotel in the historic center? That way, we'll be close to everything. After Heidelberg, we'll head to Frankfurt for our last few days before going home. Frankfurt is known as Germany's financial center, but it also has its tourist attractions.
Yes, let's look for a charming hotel in Heidelberg. As for Frankfurt, we can stay there for 2 days. I'd like to visit the Romerberg, which is the central square of the old town, and go up the main tower for a panoramic view of the city. I've also heard good things about the Stadel Museum, which has an impressive art collection. What else would you like to see in Frankfurt?
In Frankfurt, besides what you mentioned, I'd like to visit the Goethe House, which is the birthplace of the famous writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. It would also be interesting to check out the financial district to see the skyscrapers, which give Frankfurt the nickname Manhattan. And how about taking a cruise on the main river? It would be a relaxing way to see the city from a different angle.
I love your suggestions for Frankfurt. The main river cruise sounds great for our last day. Oh, and we can't forget to try the famous Apfelwein, which is the region's typical apple cider. As for accommodation in Frankfurt, how about staying in the Sachsenhausen neighborhood? I heard it has great restaurants and traditional bars.
Sachsenhausen seems like a great choice for our stay in Frankfurt. It'll be fun to try Apfelwein in one of the traditional taverns in the area. Thinking about our budget, do we have an idea of how much we'll spend on this trip? We need to consider accommodation, transportation, food, and entrance fees for attractions.
Good question about the budget. From what I've researched, we should consider about 100 to 150 euros per night for mid-range hotels. For food, something around 30 to 40 euros per person per day should be enough. Entrance fees for attractions vary, but many are included in city cards. Transportation between cities, if we book in advance, can be around 50 to 70 euros per leg.
I see. So, for 11 nights in hotels, we're talking about around 1,300 euros. Plus about 800 euros for food, 300 euros for transportation between cities, and let's say 400 euros for attractions and local transportation. That comes to approximately 2,800 euros, not including shopping and extra expenses. Does that seem reasonable to you? We can try to save in some areas if you think it's too much.
That budget seems realistic. We can save a bit by choosing some more affordable hotels or opting for Airbnb in some cities. We can also have some lighter lunches or buy food at local markets. But I think it's important not to cut too much on experiences. After all, it's a special trip and we want to make the most of it.
I completely agree. Let's keep this budget as a baseline and try to be economical where we can, without compromising the quality of the trip. Oh, I remembered something important. We need to check if we need any special travel insurance or if our health insurance covers Europe. It's also good to inform ourselves about entry requirements for Germany, like visas or specific documentation.
Excellent reminder. I'll research travel insurance. As for entry requirements, since we're Brazilian, we don't need a visa for tourism in Germany for up to 90 days. But we should check if there are any specific requirements regarding vaccines or documentation due to the pandemic. We also need to find out about the weather so we know what kind of clothes to pack.
Great. I'll check the most recent information on entry requirements. About the weather, our trip will be in the summer, right? Generally, German summers are pleasant, with temperatures between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 86 degrees Fahrenheit, but there can be cooler and rainy days. It's good to bring a mix of light clothes and some warmer pieces, plus a light waterproof jacket. We can't forget to bring comfortable shoes for walking.
Perfect. I'll prepare a list of versatile clothes. Oh, and we need to remember to bring power adapters, since the outlets in Germany are different from ours. I also think we should download some useful apps, like offline maps, translators, and city guides. What else do you think we shouldn't forget?
Good reminder about the adapters and apps. I also think it's important to bring a small travel first aid kit with basic medications. Oh, and how about learning some German phrases? Even though many Germans speak English, it would be nice and respectful to try to communicate a bit in the local language. We can practice together in the weeks before the trip.
I love the idea of learning some German phrases. It'll be fun to practice together. I'm so excited about this trip, Alex. I think we've managed to plan a well-balanced itinerary with a mix of history, culture, nature, and cuisine. Is there any specific place or experience you're most looking forward to?
I'm super excited too, Liz. I think what excites me the most is the idea of diving into history in Berlin, especially the tours related to World War II and the Cold War. I'm also eager to see Neuschwanstein Castle. It looks like it's straight out of a fairy tale. How about you? What's getting you most excited about this itinerary we've planned?
For me, the most exciting thing is the idea of experiencing the different facets of Germany, from the modernity and complex history of Berlin, through the Bavarian tradition in Munich, the romantic charm of Heidelberg, to the cosmopolitan atmosphere of Frankfurt. I can't wait to try the local foods, especially in Munich and at the Viktualienmarkt. And of course, I'm looking forward to taking this trip together and creating incredible memories.
You're right. The diversity of experiences we'll have is really exciting. I think we did a great job planning this trip. Now we just need to make the hotel and train reservations. How about we start doing that this weekend? We can compare prices and read reviews to ensure we get the best options within our budget.
Great idea. Let's do that over the weekend. We can also create a shared document with our detailed itinerary, including reservations, important addresses, and ideas for activities in each city. That way, we'll have all the information organized and easily accessible during the trip. I'm so excited, Alex. It's going to be an incredible adventure exploring Germany together.
So, what did you think of the planning lesson Alex did to explore Germany? Comment below so you can practice your English. Now, to better reinforce the content from the dialogue, let's work on vocabulary by analyzing 4 important words that appear in the podcast. First word, unmissable. Meaning, something that shouldn't be missed, done, or experienced, essential or mandatory. In the dialogue, the word appears in the phrase, Berlin is really unmissable. We can start there and then head south. Second word, brewery. Meaning, an establishment where beer is made or sold, a place specializing in different types of beer. Phrase in the dialogue, Berlin has some historic breweries that would be cool to visit. Third word, picturesque. Meaning, something visually attractive or charming, usually referring to places with unique or traditional characteristics. In the conversation between Liz and Alex, the word appears in the phrase, after Munich, where should we go? Frankfurt or maybe a smaller, more picturesque town? Fourth word, skyscrapers. Meaning, extremely tall buildings, typically found in large cities, buildings with many floors that scrape the sky. Phrase in the dialogue, it would also be interesting to check out the financial district to see the skyscrapers, which give Frankfurt the nickname Manhattan. Fifth word, waterproof. Meaning, material or clothing that doesn't allow water to pass through, that protects against rain. Phrase in the dialogue, it's good to bring a mix of light clothes and some warmer pieces, plus a light waterproof jacket. That's it, dear English learners. If this content was useful to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Take the opportunity to write in the comments about what kind of topics you want us to make videos about to help you learn English. Stay tuned until the end of the video to see suggestions for other podcasts that will help you improve your English level. Thank you for being here. See you in the next videos.